So, I want to kind of jump ahead in life because I feel like oftentimes where our life starts is where life just gets off track. And we get stuck in that. We believe that lie and we believe that we're not going to be anything else. Like that's where we're going to be stuck at. But I think a lot of times we tend to imprison ourselves. Like we don't really realize it, but the world has set such a misconception of what things should be, could be, and so we just settle into whatever is at that moment. And then when we get settled into that moment, we get comfortable there. We get comfortable in that moment. And it kind of reminds me of the prodigal son a little bit in that story. He wanted so much more. Like what he had wasn't good enough. So he wanted more. And when he got to that age, he was like, you know what? Give me what's mine and I'm out of here. I'm out of here. So he took all his money, his inheritance, and he takes off. And what does he do? He's partying it up. We do this. Home feels like prison, or home is not good enough, or there are too many standards, or there are too many rules, or we just can't do it. So we run. We just grab what's ours and run. We grab things that are ours and we run. And then, so he's out there and he's partying and he's living it up, drinking, whatever and everything starts to dwindle for a little bit. For that season, that small time, he has everything. He's happy. He's having fun. But eventually, fun runs out. Eventually, fun doesn't sustain. So what happens is all of a sudden, all of those people that were there in his little glory moment and having fun with them, partying with them, the women, they all dwindled off. The money dwindled off. It just become empty. Everything just dwindles away. And he found himself with so much shame and guilt, and he knew he shouldn't have done what he done. And so instead of running to get help or being like, I need help, this is where we get in our own life. We forcefully take ourselves out. We get ourselves in this predicament, and then we carry that shame. We carry the shame, we carry the guilt, and we're stuck. We feel like we have no way out. Pride gets a hold of us. We don't want to ask for help. We're not going to admit we're wrong. We're not going to do that. So we're stuck. We're stuck in the situation. And so what happens to the prodigal son is he actually ends up having to sleep in the pig pens. Y'all, I raised pigs when I was younger, like 5, 6. I remember. I thought they were fun then, it's like muddy and nasty and whatever. I was a kid. Mud is fun. Now as an adult, that's not all mud. You understand what I'm saying? That is not mud in that pit. They stink to the high heaven. They're loud. They're gross. They're really disgusting. So looking at it now, I wouldn't be so happy to have those pigs. But this is where he found himself. This is where he made home. He was laid up there. So he got to a point where that temporary fun, all of that was gone, and he had nothing except sleeping in, let's be real, the pig poop. That's where he was sleeping, in the poop. Okay, so finally, he was so low that looking up wasn't even an option. That's how low he had gotten. And I think way too many times in my own life, I've had to get to that so low, looking up isn't even an option. And I'm like, God, why? Why? Well, a lot of times, Mary, it's your own fault. But sometimes he has to take us that low so his glory can be seen, so he can show who he is. Lately, I have been in some pits. I have felt like life is just not going to come together. I don't know how I've gotten myself here. I don't know why. What did I do to deserve this? What is going on? It's been a crazy roller coaster of emotions, and I felt like I was in that pig pen. But the thing is what happens to the prodigal son after he leaves that pig pen is he ducks his head and he is walking with his shame and his guilt, and he goes back to his dad. And most people, they know this story. He goes back to his father's place, and his dad is watching for him. He is watching the horizon for him. And the moment he sees his son, let me tell y'all, it's my favorite part of the whole story. The dad grabs his tunic, pulls it up to run, because you can't run when your skirt is all the way down by your ankles. You're going to trip and fall. So he grabs it and runs. This was a shameful action that the father was doing, because in order to run, he had to pull it up. By pulling it up, he exposed his legs. So this was shameful. So what is happening in this instant when he is running to his son is he is taking that shame. He is taking it. So that people are not just, because everybody else, I promise you, everybody else, the brother, everybody was looking like, what you doing here? I mean, you did what you did. What are you doing here? But the dad was like, no. Now, in life, there are times we will up and leave situations. People are not our father. Okay, let's get real. You can only hurt people so much. You can only do so much to them before they won't run to you. Now, is that godly attitude to have? No, maybe, but you don't have to hate on those people. You don't have to. You don't have to give them that power over you. They don't have to come in. Now, the enemy, this is his playground. He cannot wait. He cannot wait to be all up in there. He can't wait to mess with you. He can't wait to, it's like poking a bear. He just keep on poking until you just wake up and you're angry and you snap. And this is probably my most biggest, is that my biggest downfall is you keep poking, and I lose it. I'm crazy. That is the one thing I'm like, God, please help me. Please help me. But our Father, okay, He'll lift that tunic and run to us every time. Every time. He'll take that shame. He already did. He went to the cross. He took it all. He bared it all, every bit of it. So he'll do it again, and he'll do it again, and he'll do it again. And when he ran to the son, he's like, boy, you stink. I mean, this is my version, not the KJV, but boy, you stink. You nasty. We got to clean you up. And he did. He cleaned him up. He got him the best robes. He got him the finest of everything. Cleaned him up, and then had a huge dinner. He brought in the truckloads, baby. Everything was the best. That's what our Father will do for us. It doesn't matter where we've found ourselves, what prison we've put ourselves in. If we ran to every possible thing the world has to offer, found ourselves laying in the pits, He will literally run to us when we're ready. If we're not, just like the prodigal son, he didn't want to go back. So he made home in the pig pen. That was his choice. The moment he made the choice to come back, the Father ran to him. When life becomes the pig pen, all we got to do is come back. And here's the thing, God's love and mercy, there is a difference in enabling and not. God's love and mercy will pick us up when we run to him. But it requires something from us. He ain't obligated. The Father didn't travel out to the pig pen to get the Son. The Son had to come back to the Father. And he was willing to come back and work at the lowest of the lows because he knew that even the servants of his Father had it better than he did living in that pig pen. So that's what he was willing to come back and do. But he had to get to that place where he could not even look up. He couldn't even look up. And so when you find yourself in life to where you can't even look up, go back to him. Go back to him. That's the void. That's how the enemy works. That's where the lie starts. There's always that void inside of us. Always that void. And the only way to fill that is with God. We could search the whole world for everything. For everything. We could have the perfect house. We could have the perfect car, the perfect job. If we don't fill that void, then nothing is going to satisfy us. And the enemy will. He'll cause you to run straight into the world for everything. You have to protect your mind. You have to understand. But the pig pen doesn't have to be the permanent home. It doesn't have to be where we settle everything at. We can go home, but it's up to us. It's up to us. The Father didn't go chase him down. He had to go back to the Father. And it's like lately, man, that's where I've found myself, is the pig pen has been messy, nasty, stinky, has brought shame, has brought guilt, has just really hammered down on me. But I'm running back to the Father, and he's taken off every bit of the shame and the nasty that I allowed myself to get in. And he's putting on the finest of the finest. You hear me? The meal I'm about to eat, because he says, I will prepare a meal in the presence of your enemy. In the presence of your enemy. Honey, he didn't say he's going to kick the enemies out. He didn't say he was going to shut their mouth. But he said, I'm about to prepare a feast in their presence. Baby, that enemy is about to watch me chow down, you understand, with the finest of the finest. And I have to believe that. But I only got that because I'm coming back to my Father. So no matter where the lie has taken you in life, no matter how long you allowed the enemy to keep lying and keep cutting you down and keep trying to put you in this box of confinement, baby, when you come back, the table is being prepared. He about to dress you up, and you gonna eat. You gonna eat in their presence. Why? Not to taunt them, not to hurt them, not to do anything, but to show whom he is. You may seek to devour, you may seek to steal, but it ain't gonna work like that. So the lie that no matter what age it was planted, no matter what age that it was so deeply seated in you, God is ready to transplant that out, burn that, and put something else in you. In the presence of your enemies. Don't be so concerned about who's talking. Don't be so concerned about who's looking at you, what they got to say. Baby, do you. Do you. And I promise, he's gonna do him. You ain't had a feast like he's about to feed you. So living after the lie, completely possible. But you got to make that decision. Am I going to live after the lie, or am I going to die in the lie? That's the decision you got to make. The prodigal son, he could have just laid there in the pig pen. He could have. That could have been his demise. That's where it could have ended. But all he had to do was get in sight of the Father. And he took that shame, and he took that guilt, and he prepared the feast. Y'all, let him prepare the feast.